All right, guys, so time for part 2 of the Top Gun trophy video. So we're going to go ahead and start with getting our panel glued up. It's 18 by 36 inches, and then we'll get to the rails that all the racks sit on, and possibly even the hooks today. But I've kind of decided that I don't want to do a panel glue up without face joining and edge joining, and I think these are just long enough that I can do it. They're 36 inches. I usually cap it out between 24 and 30, but I'll stretch it a little bit and see what happens. So we'll start with face joining, see how that goes, and then kind of go from there. So we're just going to get right after it. Okay, so we got everything glued up and then cut down to size so that all of our edges are nice and even. The panel is square. Super happy with the glue out. It came out, I mean, really, really well. We'll know for sure once we sand it down, but all these seams look just incredibly tight. So really happy with that, and you know, especially for a panel that really didn't even need to have the tightest seams, but you know, hey, why not do our best every time we do anything? So what we have to do next, if you remember from the design, I'll throw it back up one more time here, is I want to like round out these edges, kind of make it look a little westerny, and I've got like no template or any idea how to do that. So what I'm thinking is I'll take this guy, put it on here, trace it out. So it's kind of tricky, so I really need to do it from the center of this. Yeah, it's pretty tricky because it has to be a straight edge radius. You know, it can't be like if I put this too far in there, then it starts to kind of hook back down, and you don't want that. So I think I have a plan. So let me get after that real quick. Okay, so that's the plan. I don't know how well that comes out on camera here. I'll try to zoom it in, but essentially I measured in 3 inches from each side, made about a, let's see, what is that, a 1/4 inch mark. And then I kind of eyeballed the radius, drew it on, and then took my square and met it where it intersects, and that gives me a nice square edge. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to try to cut these with a jigsaw and really hope that that goes well. All right, got those radiuses cut and it's set out on our bench cookies and we're ready to sand now. Since I still have to put the actual words into the board, I'm only going to sand to 120 because I'm going to have to come back and finish sand anyways. But I want to kind of work out these radiuses, get them a little bit nicer, and then get all the glue up and off and have it somewhat ready for the CNC to do the letters. This is free chicken for you guys. I've cut circular curves with a jigsaw twice now. First time, absolute nightmare. I tried to cut an actual circle. But for these guys, so by the fourth one, I actually got a pretty nice clean cut as opposed to the first and the second. What I found was if I'm relying on the backhand to turn the saw, I'm already behind the curve because by the time I register that I need to be turning with my backhand, the front of the machine, the saw is already past the point where I needed to turn. So gripping it with my front hand kind of I could just go get the jigsaw and show you guys, but gripping it with my front hand on the actual, like right above the blade, allowed me to turn it much more efficiently. So free chicken, take it as you want. I don't really like jigsaws, but they're good for some things, and it's better than having to get a router out for this. So, okay, let's go ahead and get this sanded down, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're back with the trophy build. I've taken a few days off. So the sign is getting CNC'd right now with the Top Gun lettering in the top of it or the front of it. And now I'm gonna start working on the rails and the hook. So I'm determined to do it all from this one piece of sycamore. I think it's like an 8 or even a 10-foot board. So there should be plenty. I've done some math and I've calculated that the total height of each rail plus 6 inches above each rail before the next is kind of what I want the spacing to be. So if I do all of that plus the hooks and the sign, you get about 72 inches, give or take, that I need for these rails. So that's what I'm going to cut first. So I'm going to just put a square end on one end, then I'll cut 6 feet, and then the rest I will use for the hooks specifically, but possibly even the French cleat at the end. So let's get after it. All right, so now that we got the rails made, that the kind of whole thing will be held together by, I'm going to go ahead and start on the hook. So I've been super apprehensive about the hook since I started this, probably my most excited for, not the way to say that, part of this project. Really, I think it was actually putting Top Gun into the sign, and that's still not done yet, so that's still giving me a whole lot of heartburn. But we're gonna go ahead and conquer these hooks. So we've got the last bit of sycamore that I've got, which is phenomenal because it means we did really good in estimating the amount of board feet of wood that we would need for this project. So what I went ahead and did was I measured the hooks or the rocket, which this thing will hold, and I got a decent diameter. So the diameter is one of my biscuit bench cookie jars. And then I need it to be a little bit thicker than that, right? So this fits perfectly within that and gives about a 1/2 inch to just under 1/2 inch of like, I don't know what you call that, width of the hook, and you'll see why that's important. So we're going to go ahead and cut this down to size, join it, get it nice and surfaced, S4S, and then try to tackle the hook. So let's get at it. All right, so this is the part that I'm definitely most nervous about. One, because this is my only second time using a bandsaw. Two, because that first time was just to resaw something in a very straight line. Three, because it seems hard to do, and I don't understand still how a bandsaw is supposed to cut curves, but I know that it does. So I took a piece of 3/4 inch ply that I had laying around the shop and drew another hook like I'm trying to make out of the sycamore, and we're going to try it on this first and just experiment and see what we can do with it, what goes wrong, all that good stuff. So here we go. All right, well, that was pretty neat. For my first experience with a bandsaw, I'd say one, I did well, and two, I'm pretty impressed with the capabilities that a bandsaw opens up to the shop. Those curved cuts were really pretty simple, and with practice, you can get, I'm sure, really good at them. This is when having a spindle sander would come in really handy, but I don't, so we'll just have to take these down with normal sanding methods, whether that's going to be the random orbit sander or hand sanding, more to follow. As you can see, doing the test cut was really a smart idea because I made some errors with this one that I was able to rectify when making the actual hook cuts themselves. So pretty neat. I do honestly wish they were a little bit thicker. But, I tried and I thought about it, and this was, the best solution I'd come up with. So we'll see what they look like after sanding, and we'll go from there. Okay, we're back. Finally got our sign back from the CNC shop. It looks sick. You see the masking tape here because I'm going to try to paint the inset letters black and keep as much of the surface clear as I can. So we'll see how that works. More to follow, but I'm kind of in a time crunch, racing against daylight. So what I want to do before I paint it, if I can, is put the decorative edge on the outside of all this. So we're using a new bit we've never used before, a Roman Ogee. I've done one test cut on a 3/4 inch ply piece of board, and that's all I had time for. So we're going to send it. The other part that I don't know how to do, because I've never done, is use that router table without a fence to do these curved edges. So we're just going to really send this and see how it goes. So let's go. Hey, so that about wraps it up for this video. So second part of the commission build, where we really went through a lot of fabrication, got the rails made, got the sign. And so I guess this is where my mic decided to die. But I just kind of went through talking about the pieces we fabricated for this part of the video and really where we got to. And then I show you the Top Gun sign, but keep in mind I haven't finished sanded it, so I haven't cleaned up the lines, the outlines of the letters. I wanted to save that for the actual part 3 of the video where we start to assemble everything and then install it in the building for which we were commissioned to build it. So just stay tuned. Appreciate the support as always, and like, subscribe, and comment. This has been 5 o'clock Woodshop. Thanks for watching, everybody.